Something just blew wide open in Washington. For years, the highest court in America has operated like it's above the law, untouchable, unquestioned, and completely insulated from the same accountability they demand from everyone else. But that illusion just cracked. A Senate investigation has pulled the safety off a scandal that runs deep inside the Supreme Court. Hidden luxury trips, secret billionaire ties, and rulings that just happen to line up perfectly with the financial interests of those footing the bill. What we're talking about isn't rumor or speculation, it's documented corruption, the kind that makes every honest American's stomach turn. While you're out there working for every dime, some of the most powerful people in the country are being wined, dined, and flown around the world by the same elites with business before the court. It's a level of arrogance that mocks the very idea of justice. And now, for the first time in modern history, that curtain of untouchability is being ripped away. The Senate's calling them out by name, and what's coming next could shake the foundation of American law itself. If you believe in accountability, no matter how high the office, strap in. This one's going to get ugly. Let's start with the man right at the center of the storm. Justice Clarence Thomas. The Senate's investigation didn't just find impropriety. It uncovered what looks a lot like a long-term financial operation disguised as friendship. Over 20 years, Thomas quietly accepted more than $4 million worth of hospitality from billionaire real estate mogul Harlan Crow. $4 million. That's not charity. That's access. Private super yachts in the Pacific. Flights on a $160,000 per hour private jet. Exclusive retreats where America's most powerful players cut deals in the shadows. All while cases tied directly to Crow's business interests made their way up to the Supreme Court. And Thomas never once recused himself. The Senate dug up emails between Crow's lawyers and high-ranking conservative legal strategists, coordinating arguments on cases where Thomas held the deciding vote. That's not coincidence. That's coordination. This isn't just about one justice living large. It's about the blueprint of influence. A billionaire bankrolls luxury, and in return, the law starts to bend in his direction. That's not how justice works. That's how you buy it. Now, if you thought Thomas's luxury circuit was bad, wait until you hear about Justice Samuel Alito, because his version might be even more brazen. According to the Senate's report, Alito hopped aboard a private jet bound for Alaska, owned by none other than hedge fund billionaire Paul Singer. The destination? A five-star fishing lodge where the price tag for that little getaway ran well into six figures. Here's where it gets dirty. Singer's company, Elliott Management, had multiple cases before the Supreme Court worth billions of dollars. Not thousands, billions. And guess who sat on those cases without ever stepping aside? Alito. Guess who ruled in Singer's favor more than once? Same guy. When journalists confronted him, Alito didn't deny the trip. Instead, he wrote a self-defense piece in the Wall Street Journal, claiming his seat on that jet had no value because the plane was flying there anyway. That's like saying a free mansion isn't a gift because someone else built it first. Text messages revealed the whole thing was coordinated by Leonard Leo, the conservative power broker who spent hundreds of millions reshaping America's judiciary. His message to Singer? This is how relationships are built. Translation: pay to play, at the highest level of the law. Here's where the web really widens, and it's not just about a few billionaires buying weekend favors. The Senate pulled the trigger on what they're calling the dark money network, a coordinated financial machine designed to reshape the nation's courts from the shadows. And at the center of it all? One name that keeps showing up in every subpoena: Leonard Leo. Leo isn't a judge, and he's never argued a case before the Supreme Court. But over the past 2 decades, he's quietly become the single most powerful figure in America's judicial pipeline. His network of nonprofits and shell foundations has funneled more than $580 million into capturing the courts. That's more than the GDP of some small countries. Every dollar traces back to anonymous donors who never show their faces, but whose fingerprints end up all over key judicial decisions. The money flow works like this. A billionaire donates to one of Leo's tax-exempt organizations. That money then funds ad campaigns to confirm friendly judges, bankrolls legal groups that file supportive amicus briefs, and covers luxury retreats where sitting justices rub shoulders with their financial benefactors. The Senate report found that in just the last 5 years, Leo's affiliates filed briefs in 73% of the Supreme Court's most politically charged cases. That's not civic participation. That's control. It's a return on investment for the ultra-rich who figured out it's cheaper to buy a judge than to lose a ruling. The American justice system is supposed to be blind. But thanks to this dark money empire, it's starting to look like it's just looking the other way. Now, here's the part that really makes Americans' blood boil: the hypocrisy. The same judges who lecture the rest of the country about ethics and integrity are living under a completely different set of rules. Chief Justice John Roberts once told Congress that judges must avoid even the appearance of impropriety. He said, "We are not politicians. We don't work as Democrats or Republicans." But when push came to shove, Roberts personally blocked every single attempt to impose binding ethics rules on the Supreme Court. That's right. The most powerful judges in the country have zero enforceable standards of conduct. After months of public outrage, the court finally unveiled its first-ever written code of conduct. It sounded promising, until people actually read it. No penalties, no investigations, no oversight. Each justice gets to decide for themselves whether they violated the rules. It's like handing every cop in America their own personal badge and saying, "You'll know if you break the law." Meanwhile, every lower federal judge in the United States has to follow strict ethics laws. They file detailed financial disclosures. They can be investigated, sanctioned, even removed for accepting a gift worth more than $50. The Supreme Court? They've carved themselves out of accountability entirely. Last year alone, lower court judges filed more than 12,000 disclosures. The Supreme Court filed 0. The people trusted to interpret the law are the same ones rewriting it to protect themselves. And that's not a justice system. That's a self-preservation club in black robes. Here's where the corruption stops being theoretical and starts shaping the laws we live under. Because when billionaires buy influence at the top of the judiciary, the damage trickles down to every single American. Take Citizens United v. FEC. That 5-4 decision opened the floodgates for unlimited corporate money in politics. And who cast the deciding votes? Justices who'd spent years enjoying the generosity of the same ultra-rich donors who benefited most from the ruling. Then came Dobbs v. Jackson, the decision that overturned Roe v. Wade. 2 justices in that majority had spouses actively working in anti-abortion advocacy groups while the cases were still pending. They never recused. They never disclosed those conflicts. Over the last 3 court terms, the Senate discovered that financially entangled justices ruled on at least 27 cases where they should have stepped aside. 27. When the law becomes a business transaction, justice stops being blind. It starts being bought. The fallout has been massive. The court's approval rating has crashed to 40%, the lowest in U.S. history. Americans can see the rot, and now even the Senate's had enough. Led by Senator Sheldon Whitehouse, the Judiciary Committee launched a full-scale investigation. Subpoenas, whistleblower interviews, financial audits. For the first time ever, Supreme Court justices could face potential criminal referrals, bribery, false disclosure, even obstruction. And guess what? The walls are closing in. Thomas hired a high-priced criminal defense attorney. Alito hit the media circuit, trying to justify the unjustifiable. Roberts fired off letters to Congress claiming the Senate has no authority over the court, even though the Constitution clearly says otherwise. In response, the Senate introduced the Supreme Court Ethics, Recusal, and Transparency Act, which would finally force the justices to play by the same rules as every other judge in America. And the public's behind it. Nearly 80% of voters, including most Republicans, want accountability. Because when the most powerful legal body in the country operates with less oversight than your local small claims judge, that's not just corruption. That's collapse. The truth's out, and there's no putting it back. The Senate's got the evidence, the public's watching, and the court's credibility is on life support. Power's finally being forced to answer for itself. And this time, the people aren't backing down. Make sure you like, subscribe, and drop a comment down below. Stay sharp.